I recorded this conversation a while back, actually, and took a little break over the holidays. But what better way to kick off 2026 than by talking about a resource that helps veterans get the care that they need closer to home? This is one of those topics that can truly make life easier once you understand how it works. So let's start by talking about a VA option many veterans don't even realize exists and why understanding it can make such a difference. Most veterans don't realize they can get care outside the VA and that the VA may actually pay for it. The VA's community care network can connect them to doctors, specialists, and services right in their own community, but only if they know how to use it. I'm Christy Osborne, a mortgage equity planner who works closely with older adults and the professionals who serve them. This is the Legacy Years podcast, where we talk about the real world decisions, resources, and conversations that shape life in our later years. Today, I'm talking with Nikki, who works directly with clients who use the community care network. She's going to help us figure out this process, understand the options, and how it actually works for the veterans to get the care that they're entitled to. Let's jump right into the conversation. Welcome, Nikki. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Well, why don't you tell guests just a little bit about yourself?
So I got into senior housing and healthcare several decades ago, totally by accident. I'd been in high-end retail and was looking to make a switch and thought I would do this for a year or two until I figured out what I really wanted to do. And here I am 3 decades plus later. So that's my story.
That's funny. I'm talking at a middle school career fair next week, and one of the things that I'm going to talk about is that we never get a degree in what it is that we end up doing. We never start out in what it is we end up doing, and it just kind of happens along the way.
Yeah, that's true. True with me.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's kind of talk about, for someone who's unfamiliar with the community care network at all, kind of what the program is and in layman's terms, what that really means.
So really, it's just a program that helps you access local vendors, if you will, for lack of a better phrase, that provide services and care to the veterans. It was created to kind of fill in a gap that they were
Hmm.
experiencing where they weren't able to get services that they needed in as timely of a fashion as they might have going through the VA itself. And we know everyone's not easily accessible to a VA. So it was to help them with that.
Yeah. So who's eligible and who gets to decide? Is it the veteran who gets to decide? Is it the VA who gets to decide? How does that work?
So there's 6 criteria. Eligibility has already been decided by the 6 criteria. It's for the veteran only, not for spouses or families. You have to have been honorably discharged. You have to have been in service for 24 months. You have to struggle with 2 activities of daily living. And for those of you who don't know what that is, that could be bathing, dressing, transportation, cooking, things of that ilk. Doing laundry. If it's
Yeah.
hard for you to do your laundry, that's an activity of daily living, or we call it an ADL for short. And then you have to be in the VA system. So that's probably the biggest hurdle, is getting in the system if you're not already in it. And in order to
Mm,
get services, you have to actually see a primary care physician at a VA. Not ongoing, but you have to do that at least the first time so that they can recommend and give a prescription for the services.
got it. So kind of a step by step process would be, first, they've got to get to a VA facility and get that recommendation.
Yes, yes. So, well, you have to, no, actually, no, there's an application process and there are several
Okay.
ways you can do that. There's a website, there's a phone number. The best way to do that is to apply online. And I would encourage you, get your family to help you, get your adult children to help you. It's the VA, so it's complicated. And it's a little tedious, shall we say? And there's a lot of
Hmm.
redundancy. So this is not a place to say, "Oh no, I can do this all myself." Get your kids who are maybe more computer savvy than you, who can go through that and
Right.
help you, um, just to make sure that you're pushing the right buttons and putting things in the right place.
Got it. And so let's say they submit that application. What's usually the time frame before they get some type of a decision and they can actually start getting those services? Do you
So,
is there a general time frame?
we are seeing in the Dallas area, we are seeing about a 5-month period before there's approval. So there are some steps in between that, and it just varies. It varies based on, did you fill everything out in the form correctly? Was it submitted? We have one veteran that we're
Mhm.
working with now that someone from our office has actually gone to their home and helped them fill it out online 3 times, have confirmations that it's
Oh,
been filled out. And the VA is saying, yeah, we don't have your application. So generally, that is the quickest way, but sometimes it's better if you are within a couple of hours just driving to a local VA. Here in Dallas,
okay.
we encourage people to go. Bonham has a shorter wait time, easier to be seen there. It's a pretty
Mm,
drive. Do it on a nice sunny day, but you have to sometimes just sitting, be prepared to do that. We're doing anything with any VA program. If you've ever had an experience, you know that it is a lesson in patience.
mm. I've heard that a lot. I've never personally had to experience it, but I have heard that a lot.
Yes, it is
I
a truth.
noticed I noticed one of the things that uh, I saw about the community care network was some of the decisions are made based on wait time or drive time. What is that about?
So that's very nebulous. That is
Oh,
a phrase that they use that has no real definition to it. And I would say that is just going to vary by location. A
mm,
lot of people, a lot of veterans who benefit from this, initially they were in rural areas. And so maybe they didn't have as much access or it wasn't as close. I honestly can't give you a definitive answer to that because I've never found one. I'm just being frank.
there probably isn't one. That's like an out for
Yeah,
them,
I mean,
maybe.
I think that's kind of like, yes, it's a caveat so that they can kind of be covered.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so let's talk about the types of services that a veteran might be able to get through the community care network.
So, one that I work with the most is through a personal service agency, a personal assistance care agency. So that's an agency that provides non-medical care. Again, we're going back to our ADLs, to our activities of daily living.
Mm,
So right now, the VA is awarding somewhere in the neighborhood of 11, maybe 13 hours a week of our services. And you might go, well, what can you do in 11 hours? We can actually do a lot. We have one veteran right now who the big thing we do for them is we go in, I believe they have 11 hours, and it's a 4-hour shift and a 5-hour shift. I'm sorry, a 5 and a 6-hour shift. And we go in, and during one of those
okay.
shifts, we just cook and we package things, put in the
Mm,
microwave. They're not able to stand at a stove to do a lot of cooking, and they're very aware how important good nutrition is. So we're in there to help support their nutritional needs. They've maybe already gone to the grocery store and they have all the ingredients. They may have a recipe, or they may just stand there and say, oh no, now you do this and now you add that and stir this. And, it might be a verbal recipe. But that also provides companionship and interaction. So it's kind of a double win for that.
I
And
mean,
then
I would
we
love somebody to
package
come to my
those.
house and do that. So I think that's
Yeah,
great.
I know. Well, then we cook all these casseroles and we package them and put them in the fridge or the freezer, and he just pops them out and he's got good meals all week.
That's great. So that's an example for one of your clients, and that's through the community care network that's covered for him, correct?
Correct. And what's nice about Community Care Network is the veteran doesn't have to put the money out up front. There are some other veteran
Mm,
policies where the veteran has to already have that expense. And then, in my words, it's considered a reimbursement. But with Community Care Network, the VA contracts with companies that they have vetted to provide these services. So then that company would bill the VA, and then the VA would pay them directly. So the veteran never sees a bill, never has to write a check, doesn't have to wait to be reimbursed. So it's a seamless process for them once it's approved. Now, I'll tell you, getting approved can be a challenge, but it's worth it in the long run, I
mm,
think.
yeah. I mean, that does sound worth it. And I can't imagine trying to pay for that up front and then trying to get reimbursed for it. So what a benefit to the veteran that they can just pay you guys directly?
Yeah, well, if you're looking for most private care companies, you're looking at about $34 an hour and do that times 10 or 11 hours a week and by month. I mean,
Yeah.
that's 1,400. So it's a wonderful benefit. We can also help with
Mm,
transportation. Say the veteran has a physician's appointment or physical therapy or something that they can't drive to that. Maybe they drive back roads, but they don't drive highways and you have to go on the highway to get here. So we can also provide transportation and help them. So there are a lot of different facets of a non-medical impact that we can do
yeah.
to improve their quality of life.
Is this just for non-medical or can they use it for other things as well?
So I've read a little bit on it. The piece that I know is for non-medical. I understand there are some other
Right.
components to it, but I don't have the expertise to talk on those. So I don't want to give
Got it.
misinformation. And you and I know that
Yeah.
what you read online doesn't always translate to what happens in reality. Um,
That's very true.
so again,
So,
that's where
what are some of the oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was gonna say that's where it's really important to go ahead and get in the VA system. Those are the conversations you
Mhm.
have when you meet with the VA primary care provider. So they can explore those
Got
other
it.
avenues with you better.
Got it. Makes sense. So, what are some of the biggest mistakes or maybe misunderstandings that you see veterans having with that community care network?
I'd say the biggest mistake, I'm going to use the word mistake. The biggest mistake that I think a lot of veterans make is that they kind of whitewash what their needs are. I mean, they're veterans. They are the ones who have gone through the mud and been through all this training. And so they make light of some of the struggles that they're having. And the VA is like, well, you don't really need us. Where in reality, they do. So I think this is the time where don't fluff, but just be really
Mm.
accurate. It's like I cannot stand at the stove long enough to make brown rice because it's 15 minutes instead of the white rice that's 3 minutes kind of deal. Or I really struggle with cleaning my house and I just can't keep it where it needs to be. So whatever your struggles are, be very candid and very transparent about them. This is not a time for pride or for and I don't mean this disrespectfully because this is what made them great soldiers is don't be overly macho at this point. Like just
I
and that's
honestly, yeah, I love that you bring that up because I have experienced this with veterans in my own life who think I served my country because I wanted to serve my country. I didn't serve my country to get things. And they
right.
think of this in the wrong light. They deserve this help.
Well, this is
They
something
should
that
take
they've
advantage of
earned.
it if they
This is a
can.
benefit of being a veteran. This is not charity. So
Exactly.
they're not taking something. They're just applying for a benefit. When they were in the service, they got 3 meals a day, they got their uniforms, they got a place to sleep. All of those things that was all included. That was part of the package. This is part of the package too.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of veterans, like you just said, they're like, oh no. I didn't do this to get stuff. I don't want to I don't want to be a charity case. This is not charity.
Right.
This is you've earned this. You worked for this.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned reaching out to, family members, maybe
Mhm.
adult children or even adult grandchildren to help with the application process. Are there other things that a caregiver or family member can do to help a veteran through this process?
So you're going to have a copy of their DD 214, which is their discharge papers.
Hmm.
99% of the veterans I run into, they know exactly where that is. Or they can tell you exactly what move or what fire or what happened that they lost it. You can get that online from the National Archives. So help them get that. Be prepared. I would say go online, see what documentations you're going to need, and help them organize all of that. So when you do make the online application or you go in person, that you have everything you need and you're not going to drive 2 hours to a VA center to be told you don't have everything and come back another time.
Mm,
Or you're not going to get three-quarters of the way through a 45-minute process online and go, oh, wait, what? We don't have that. We can't move forward because it doesn't necessarily, they might say it saves, but you and I know computers, there's no guarantee, at least not in my life.
yeah. That right. That's great advice. Ugh, I can't imagine driving 2 hours and then being told, "Oh, oops, you needed X, Y, or Z.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so frustrating, especially if you've waited 2 hours to be seen to be told that.
Right, for sure. So, I know you said that the VA is going to pay your company, in this case, the services that you guys provide directly. Are there any costs that the veteran should anticipate?
No, I mean, their only cost would be the cost of driving to a VA center if they needed to do that. But there's
That's great.
no, and as a matter of fact, excuse me, if anyone asks the veteran to pay something for their service, then the veteran needs to, like, close the book, hang up the phone, turn the other way, walk, don't, run, don't walk kind of deal, because that's just someone being a scam. So for this particular program, the veteran doesn't put out any money, again, except for the potential cost of driving to and from to help with the application and to see the primary care provider, which is an event that you have to have has to happen in order for you to initiate the services.
I'm glad you said that because I do think if someone's unfamiliar with the program and someone did ask them for money, they would not know the difference. So I think it's important to bring that up and to be sure that you're working with reputable companies.
Yes, absolutely. And so the VA contracts with companies, so they vet those companies. So you should not run into that. So if
Mhm.
you go through the steps and you apply either online or in person and you're working with someone that the VA has vetted, then you should be, and I say should because in today's world, you never know what AI is going to do, but you shouldn't have to worry about that. If you try to go out and discover these things on your own, that's where you could run into some problems.
Okay, good to know. So, if you could tell a veteran just one thing that might make this a smoother process for them, is there one thing that you would tell them?
Again, I go back to being transparent. This is not a time to, take one for the team sort of deal. This is where you need to say, I struggle with putting my shoes on. I have a hard time cleaning the house. I can't really cook for myself anymore. You need to just be really honest and very clear about that and just don't try to whitewash anything.
I always ask every single guest I have on my podcast this question. So, I'm going to ask you if there's one additional thing that you would, and there might not be, maybe we covered everything, but if there's one additional thing that you want people to know, what is it?
I would say don't wait until the last minute to do this. Don't let your pride get in your way, which a veteran, it's kind of goes hand in hand with being a veteran, is that you have pride in being independent. Don't let that delay you from getting started with this process and getting these services. It's about a 5-month process. Again, you have served our country. We have the freedoms that we do because of what the sacrifices that you made for us. This is not a handout. This is something that you've earned. This is part of the package. When you signed, when you were 18 or 21 or whatever, this is included in that contract you made with the US government. So they're just fulfilling this specific arena of the contract they made with you. Be brave and ask for help.
Yep. Yep, for sure. So, Nikki, tell people a little bit about your company and what you guys do. We talked a little bit about that, so people probably have a bit of an idea, but talk kind of exactly how you help people.
So I'm currently working for a home instead franchise here out of Plano. It's the Double C franchise, and we are a non-medical provider of care. So again, we do all the things we've talked about. We help with homemaking skills, bathing, dressing, transportation, meal preparation. We'll do pet care. We work with people who have cognitive issues. So we can come in and improve the quality of life for someone who's still in their home. Maybe they don't want to move into assisted living. Maybe they're really not quite at the point that assisted living's the right choice, but they're really kind of struggling to have the best quality of life they can. So we also can offer companionship. Maybe you don't drive anymore. Maybe your mom doesn't drive anymore. Your dad doesn't drive anymore. And your dad was a very social person. And now your big concern for him, more than the fact that he has TV dinners every day because that's all he knows how to cook because mom did all the cooking, is that he's just lonely. And you just don't like seeing your
Yeah.
dad lonely. We come in and The good news, bad news is we become friends and we become families with the people that we serve. And the way I said that's bad news is because when we lose one or we stop providing service, we mourn that loss.
Yeah.
Our care pros really get in there and embed themselves in that person's life to try to find out their nuances and to just see what can make their day happier and better.
Yeah. I love that. I can imagine you get attached to people for sure.
Yes, especially if you've been with them for multiple years.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you, Nikki. I appreciate you coming on here. I know it's not always the easiest thing to do to talk about um, things like this on a podcast. So I
You're my
appreciate you. I
first
appreciate your
podcast.
expertise.
My pleasure.
I can't tell. Not at all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And if folks want to reach you, Nikki, if they have questions about the Community Care Network, or if they have a need for your services, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
The best number to call is the office number, and that's 972-744-9898.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Nikki.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
I work for a company that truly has a heart for veterans. And one of the ways that we support that mission is through the American Warrior Initiative, which helps pair veterans with service dogs, offering independence, companionship, and support where it's needed most. I'll include a link so you can learn more about the incredible work that they're doing. This episode officially kicks off 2026, and I can't think of a better way to start the year than by highlighting a program that helps veterans access the care and support they deserve. Coming up in my next episode, we're going to be talking all things Social Security, one of the most asked about topics in retirement. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss that episode. Thanks for listening.